That's the question.
Hello, there we go. Mike's working out. Everybody, hi Maya. Welcome back, everybody. For all of the 2 people watching, one of them being me. So thanks for coming, Maya. Don't worry. Whenever me and Richard start shouting at each other, everybody usually floods in. Then so we'll give it half an hour.
Why is that?
I think that we're getting a little wound up this time because. Well, I don't know. There's points that are both of us feel the need to make and slightly annoys both of us. I don't think it's a lack of communication, though. I think it's a lack of difference of opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Titan, why are you everywhere telling everybody you're the atheist of the month?
Because he was told he was the atheist of the month.
I don't understand. How does he self-appointedness just makes you narcissistic?
No, somebody else appointed him that. It's not self-appointed. And it was a Christian channel that said it, from what I remember.
Ooh.
Because Tony is generally agreeable. I'm sorry, Titan is generally agreeable and likes to have these conversations. So I could see somebody dubbing him that. I'm not sure it applies off to that channel, though.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't. I don't know.
Right. Can you see that, Richard?
Yes, we're at 8-8.
We're at 8-8. I thought that's what we're about. We're about 8-8. Aye. So there's that. I'll make sure that the audience can see. Ba-boom. There we go. I'll not forget this week. Not like I'm ever late or sleeping or anything like that. Right. 8-8. Richard.
8-8.
Go on ahead. Say something
let the assertions begin.
Say something that annoys me. Go.
Yes. Okay. So we just did what I think is a recap of the whole book of Revelation. Then we start into the trumpets, and here we are at the second trumpet. And the second angel sounded, and as it were, a great mountain, burning with fire, was cast into the sea, and the third part of the sea became blood. Okay. So a lot of Christians think this is like got a math equation in it. That it means 1/3. In fact, some translations read 1/3. But that's really the wrong idea. I looked into these words, and it means the smallest part or lowest part or least important part, third part. Because sometimes a third part is only physically lowest on the thing described, like it's going to say boats in a minute.
But why is it being the third necessarily the smallest part? Why not the fourth? Or is that the word of the translation?
It depends on context. It could be the physically lowest part, right?
Lowest,
as it's aligned to gravitational pull.
Right. That's what I was asking. Yeah.
Yeah. Or it could be the least important part. Sometimes it's the least important part. The third part is. It all depends.
Or it could be.
It's not a math problem. It's not 33.333. That's not it.
It could be just a phrase to make a point.
Well, I think it's used somewhat colloquially here. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it's a literal third.
No, I don't think it's a literal third. But here we are with the context thing again. Let's see. The third part of the sea became blood. Okay, so one of the seas, not all of them. That's a normal Christian assertion. They'll say all the seas when this says one of them. And the third part of it
into the sea, right? If you cast it into the sea.
Yeah.
I doubt very much that the people of this time knew the entire world all around them. So the sea in general would be referred to as just that one large body of water. I don't think they're talking about the Pacific Ocean versus the Atlantic Ocean.
To the ancient Israelites, probably the sea would have been the Mediterranean.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just the closest body of water. It's not an actual description of the Pacific Ocean or the Atlantic Ocean or anything like that. It's just a description of water.
Right. Of course, I take this to be a prophecy over the whole earth, not a prophecy over the Jewish people in the ancient Near East.
Yeah.
But.
Well, I'm here to disagree with you.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I'm aware.
Right, go on ahead. Yeah.
No. Go ahead.
No. I think that's it. It's just the third part of the sea became blood. I think it's more, we're pushing the apocalypse. Previously, the world's on fire. Meteorites are falling, or lava's falling, or whatever is happening.
Probably
so they're pushing this idea of apocalypse. And apocalypse, is that even a fucking word?
Apocalypses.
The apocalypses. The idea of shit being on fire, your blood being on fire, the third part of the sea became blood. It's not only are we affecting the human body and humans in general, but we're affecting the planet. It's just sort of pushing on the emphasis of the apocalypse.
So since we're at the first mountain falling from the sky, we have a name for those today in our modern terms. We call that a meteorite.
Yeah.
But if it's a mountain-sized meteorite, it's pretty considerable.
Again, it could be colloquial.
Well,
big ass fucking thing fell from the sky.
Could have said hill. Could have said boulder. Could have said horse-sized.
Hill. But hill and boulder aren't really emphasis. They're not really making it. A hill fell into the water. A mountain fell into the water. You know, it's
I think it's mountain-sized on purpose, and you could say it makes sense that they would be overemphasizing something. But if these are the signs for an evil nation, people need to be able to see them and recognize them, and they have to be remarkable.
signs of an evil nature, or what was that? Signs of evil nature.
The signs are for an evil nation. That is to say, non-believers. So it's got to be something bigger than a normal
Yeah,
comet becomes a meteorite.
Yeah.
It's got to be something
it
impressive.
has to be huge, like.
Yeah, or else it wouldn't be a sign. No one would say, "Oh, this is definitely the one."
Yeah.
You know, if it's like, I don't know, if it was only, you know, a tenth of a kilometer across, you know, then like Russia had one of those a couple years ago,
The Swatsky one or whatever. Yeah.
and that no one would even notice, and it wouldn't impress anybody.
But I can, I don't know, I can see your point, but then, as I say, I think it's Kroger just to make a point.
Sure, it certainly could be overstated for emphasis.
There's a lot of
certainly
thirds
could
that,
But if it is, it won't work,
yeah,
which makes the prophecy pretty useless.
the idea of a third.
Yeah, we'll get to those.
Yeah, lots of thirds.
Well, I know there's a lot. Yes, there are. Okay, so this is one of the times where I said, oh, the book of Revelation is going to refer back to this later on. And it's one of the eyes of Christ, which the costume at the beginning, I asserted was the costume itself was a summation of all of the book of Revelation.
Yeah, well, I remember.
So here you have one of the eyes of fire, a mountain-sized fiery thing falling from the sky that's to be noticed. Okay. So this is the first eye of Christ. A big,
I'm not going to hit you with a bat.
red, fiery
I'm going to hit you with a big bat. I think it's just making a point. I'm not going to hit you with a bat. I'm going to hit you with the fucking biggest bat I've got, you know?
Right. Absolutely. Okay. Let's see. Let me find where we are in the text there. Here we go. 9. And the third part of creatures which were in the sea and had life died, and the third part of the ships were destroyed. Okay. So of the area affected, 1/3 of the living creatures perish. So that tells me some kind of nasty chemical thing. And then the third part of a ship is the lowest part, or the hull, which today we have steel and fiberglass mostly in hulls of big ocean-going stuff. They're not wood anymore.
No.
So I'm thinking really, really, really super nasty chemical. That's what I'm thinking.
You're thinking it's a nasty chemical because of modern ships.
No. Because it would dissolve the hull of a boat.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because they're metal now.
And kill the animals in the area.
Well, if you were thinking of something that's going to affect a ship and animals,
yeah,
you're just sort of looking for something that will affect both ship and animals, so it would have to be chemical warfare.
I would think so.
You know, if it was an attack on that, I can't think of anything else that would. A poison's going to affect humans. You know, it's not going to affect machines. Something that's going to affect both is going to have to be chemical.
And let me remind everyone in the belief system I've accepted on this, the reading frame I've accepted on this. This mountain falling from the sky after the quaking of the earth is the 6th part of a comet that missed Mercury and gets sucked into our gravitational field.
So that's where you're thinking that's coming from during your prophecy of the meteorites that hit Mercury. This is one that either missed or didn't or whatever. That's the same bunch.
It's the 6th part, and all 5 parts would probably be made of the same stuff, whatever nasty stuff this is made out of, which I don't know what it is. Reacts with seawater, though, apparently, whatever it is.
Well, not necessarily reacts with seawater. We've already established that these people are here to take over, and I've tried to establish that they're not so nice people. So, you know, they don't necessarily need to find a meteorite with something on it. They could add to it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they could be
They may have
chemically...
launched the thing in the first place from their ship.
Yeah. You know?
Because, I mean, it'd be hard to get it to do all this stuff, be on the right azimuth, just the right speed, the right curvature around the sun.
We've discussed this.
Break into 6 parts. I mean, that's pretty.
They're going to have to interfere. Yes, this is what we've established that, because you were all, it may naturally happen before. No, they're going to have to intervene. They're going to have to intervene.
Yeah. Well, I think I've always tried to express that I think they started off in the first place. It's not a naturally occurring series.
Yes, but there's a long period of time, and it doesn't matter. We've had that conversation anyway. I just think the third is the fact that it's a third, and the fact that it keeps pointing this third out. It's regardless of it being a third, it could be a fourth, it could be a sixth. It doesn't matter what it is. The fact that they're showing and stating this, to me, is people are going to die, right? We're going to say to you that a section of people are going to die and get destroyed unless you accept Jesus. You know, that's the point I think it's trying to make here.
No, believers will go through this. Even if you do accept Jesus, doesn't matter.
I know, but it's a third part of this and all that. There's people going, it's a section of people who are going through this.
Well, let's say for argument's sake that Yellowstone did erupt. Are there any Christians living at Norris Junction right outside of the park in a town that will be obliterated in the first 3 seconds?
Well, according to my religion, which we go by as Demolish Richard, I'm believing it's a meteorite, so I don't believe Yellowstone blew up at all.
Okay, so let's say a meteorite fell to the earth and it hit and killed general folks.
Yeah, it's going to kill an area.
There's going to be some of every kind of folks there. I mean, there's going to be a communist, there's going to be an atheist that dies, there's going to be a Catholic that dies, you know, et cetera, et cetera.
So he's just killing regardless.
Well,
believers or not.
Yeah, you could say regardless, but without prudence, imprudently.
Yeah,
makes no difference.
Yeah, it makes no difference. It's going to wipe you out anyway.
Yeah.
Nice people that they are.
Yeah, well, if this is what it takes to impress us, this is what they're going to do.
We've already discussed, if a ship came down and landed in the middle of New York, I'd be just as impressed. Yeah.
Maybe.
And the third angel sounded, and there was a great star from heaven, burning as if it was a lamp, and fell upon the third part of the rivers and upon the fountains of water. See, this is more, it's back in my religion up more.
Nobody gets hurt here, though. I mean, it's a big noticeable thing, but nobody gets... And there's even a warning not... In the next one, we should go ahead and read 11, actually.
And the name of the star was Wormwood, and the third part of the waters became wormwood, and many men died of the waters because they were made bitter.
Yeah. Bitter there actually means poisonous.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't mean it just tastes bad. It means it'll kill you. And which is indicated by died of the waters. Like, if you drink this, you're going to freaking croak. Okay?
It's just talked about a mountain landing, and now it's talking about a star, right? It could be in reference to the same thing. You know, it's just a further, deeper description of what's happening, of what's actually happening. You know, if a meteorite comes flashing and crashing in from the sky, it's going to look like a big glowing ball of sun in the sky. You know, you could see that. And stars generally don't land on the earth.
Well, I don't think it means a literal star, of course, because that would consume the planet.
Yes, so that's what I'm saying. Is it a reference, not a star, so is it a reference to this mountain that's crashed and also destroyed a third? Because if this is another crash and another third, then we're up to 2/3 now.
Yes, we would be at 2/3.
You know,
or
so it's
2/3 parts.
It's
not math.
It's a reference to the thing that's already happened.
It could be. I don't know why to name it the third angel sounding, though, or the third trumpet. If it's the same second trumpet, I don't know why to call it.
What the fuck's the reference of wormwood? Is that a
I have what I think is a reasonable theory.
Okay, give me is the direct translation wormwood, or is it a type of wood that we're using? Like, I'm wondering. on the meaning of wormwood. You know, what is the
It
actual?
means the shrubby, flowery plant that worms eat the stalk of, which they put into some kinds of drinks because it's a hallucinogen. That is, the worm excrement is a hallucinogen.
The
So
name,
yeah,
the name of
literally
the star.
wormwood is the word there.
So the name of the star is called LSD, and the third part of the waters became
Became
LSD.
LSD. Yeah, you get the idea.
And many men died in the waters because they were freaking their balls out. Right.
Probably something like that. I think not like that, but yeah, you're on. I think you're on track. Um, okay, so I think it's a separate mountain falling from the sky,
You think
burning
it's
like a
another one?
lamp, which is different from burning with fire. What's
You
that?
you think this is another third, or a
I think it's
different
a separate
attack,
event
a separate event? You're
because it's a
definitely saying
separate
that
trumpet, for
this
one thing.
thing, the star, is not the mountain.
Yeah, no, the mountain was burning with fire. This is burning like a lamp. That's different. So, fire being like red and then a lamp being brighter than a normal fire. That's the whole idea of a lamp, is it's brighter than a normal fire.
No,
Um,
not necessarily. No, the
what?
idea of a lamp is that it's evenly spread light. It's a totally different light than fire. I would disagree
Then why
with
don't
that
we
statement
then why don't we burn wood to read by?
because that's silly, inefficient, and not direct.
It's not bright enough.
It's not that it's not bright enough. I've read in front of the fire all the time. It's not consistent and evenly spread. A lamp sitting there
That's also true.
is direct, straight at my page. I can control where the light goes, and it's right there.
Well, that's a good point.
You know, where if I had a fire, you could easily read a book by a fire, but you would get pissed off because it
I
would
can't.
flicker, the light
It
would
does.
change, and it's not that it's not necessarily brighter, it's not consistent.
I think you make a better point. It's more important that it's consistent than bright. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so in what I understand, this is a chunk of the moon Io, which NASA reports as being 90% yellow sulfur, 10% iron. Certainly, a big chunk of sulfur coming into our atmosphere would burn like sulfur, which would be like a blue halo with a bright white center, something like that. So I think it wouldn't be unfair to call that burning as a lamp.
But yeah, but you're just looking for something in the sky that's made up with the right chemicals to give you the visualization that
No,
you're
I
looking
wasn't.
for.
That is not true at
But
all.
where does the how do you know that it's IO? Where did you get IO from?
From the movie that played in my head, it was already Io.
Yeah.
I did not invent that idea
Okay, well, not inventing an idea, but the only
or
reason that
try to
it's
justify it.
the only reason that it's IO is because you've seen it as IO.
Because a movie played in my head about a moon that I didn't know existed, which chemistry would act like this.
All of
Yeah,
that, all of that doesn't,
why I think it's
all
true.
of that doesn't matter. The point I'm trying to make is you're saying it's IO because of something that you've experienced.
Yes, of course.
That's it. There's nothing else there. There's no proof there. It's literally because you've experienced it and you've seen it that you think that is IO.
It's plausible. It's logical. The physics exist. It's not impossible in any way.
Nothing's impossible. But
Okay, it's not so unlikely we would call it impossible.
okay, right. We've got IO and we've named it now Wormwood.
Right, and why wormwood? Wormwood is, well, it's wood riddled with holes because the worms eat it, right? So it's like a tannish brown kind of color, and it's wood, so it floats, and it's riddled with holes, and that's the same effect you would get from burning sulfur on a pool of water. The ash the sulfur produces, if it has an iron content, would be some kind of tannish brown color instead of normal sulfur ash, which appears like a light gray. And it would be floating because the ash is really buoyant because it's really violent burning. So it creates air pockets and little bubbles, and those bubbles harden really fast and stay there. So it's super buoyant. And of course,
Hold on. If you could, I'm sorry to
Let me
interrupt.
just finish. I know it makes you crazy.
No,
Let
I'm
me finish.
lost.
And if you burnt sulfur, if you had burning sulfur and you plunged it into a limited depth body of water, then it also would keep burning and it would poison the water.
Does sulfur eat outer shells of ships?
That's two different events. That was the last event.
I just, like you said, the reason it's called wormwood, and then I may have missed the connection because I looked away at the chat for 2 seconds and come back, but it was like the reason it's called wormwood, and then you went off on a thing about sulfur.
Because sulfur burning in a pool of water, as long as the water didn't completely smother it, would make product like wormwood bitter to the taste. It's actually a poison to drink. It makes floaty, tan-colored stuff that's riddled with holes.
Floaty tan-colored stuff that's riddled with holes.
Yeah, the ash would look like that. Sulfur ash on water.
Have you done this experiment so you know? Have you got a visualization of this, or are you just...
I could bring up a video for you if you like.
It would be interesting to see where you're at. You know, it's...
I didn't create the video, though.
No. If you showed me someone who's done an experiment where you can show me a brownish liquid with holes in it on water, like, it's an awful lot of jumping.
Not liquid. It wouldn't be liquid, it'd be solid.
Alright, well, it's water. I'm thinking water, you know. Yeah. It's an awful lot of addition and adding to the text.
Do you know those little, you can buy them at trinket stores for children? There's a pellet. It's about as wide as an American quarter dollar, and it's about as thick as 3/4, if you know what sizes those things are. And it's a sulfur pellet is what it is, and they put coloring on it so you can get different colored. And they call them growing snake. They call them different things, but there's a few companies that produce these. And you light it with a cigarette lighter or a match, and it grows a snake out of a pellet the size of 3/4.
I know what you're talking about. Yes.
It will grow like a 3 or 4 foot long snake.
Yeah, like a foam type snake, as Oz is saying in the chat. Yeah.
That's sulfur ash. That's what sulfur ash looks like. That's what it does. And it produces a crazy amount of ash for the amount of sulfur. So there you have an example, the children's toy.
Would that float on water? You have an example, but I'm just saying you're adding that to
on water.
Whether you've got justification that proves your point or not, you're adding that to the text from your point of view under the belief that it's IO from the movie that you've seen in your head.
Sure. That's it.
There's no other proof of evidence from this. You've got justification.
No proof of the future at all.
No. There's justification for where you're coming from, but there's no... You've got... Like, I have a story and tree fell down outside. Nobody's seen it or whatever. Blah, 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 blah. My justification for a tree falling down is the wind, right? That's not the story. It's the justification for it. So that's what I'm saying is what you're adding to the text is justification to make it align with your belief system.
Absolutely.
That only you can confirm.
I can't confirm it.
Yes, but only you seen it, only you experienced it. It's a personal testimony.
I don't know that's true either. It is my personal testimony, that's true.
As far as we know, you are the only person that has experienced this.
As far as I know.
If someone else had have experienced this, even with a man of your age, you have technologically figured out a way to communicate with people.
Yeah.
Don't think that, we can say, oh, he's an old man, he can't figure out the internet or whatever. I'm sure.
54, I'm not that old.
Yeah. If you can figure it out, then someone else can figure it out. I would guess that you would have met each other. You would have interacted.
I don't know that. I looked all over the internet when this idea was first introduced to me through that Dream Vision thing, the movie in my head. I looked all over the internet for a like idea, and I tried all kinds of different search keyword phrases in Google and Bing and Yahoo, and I never could find anyone saying this.
Right.
I couldn't find anyone saying. I still can't.
No. We'll go with it that only you have experienced.
Possible.
I'm just looking at it. If you're trying to convince me, adding a lot to the text doesn't help convince me.
What did I add?
It's definitely
Tell me
IO.
something that I said that's not in the Bible.
Yeah, well, I'm not when I use the word add. All right, sometimes you take that the wrong way. But what I mean, like you have your justification for this is it's IO and that it's sulfur,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It doesn't say IO and it doesn't say sulfur.
That's true. It doesn't.
You're adding that.
Okay.
That's what I mean.
And I don't know something else that would do this. And
Is that not a fallacy from ignorance?
there could be something else that would do exactly these things. There could be. I'm not a chemist.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes. So that's what I'm saying. The more popular one that you know of, because as you have said, it's very easy to go and get one from the shop. So something that you naturally have seen, you are now attaching that to it because you're not a chemist, because you don't know.
Right.
There could be something more specific. You just don't know.
There could be.
It's sulfur, and sulfur's, usually attached with hell and, and all that badness.
No. That's backwards. It's not that sulfur's attached to hell. The sulfur attached to hell is talking about this event.
Yeah, but it's
the sulfur in.
No,
in
I don't.
Shrek
Richard, let
talking
me
about
finish.
this
Let me
event.
finish. I don't care where it came from.
Okay.
Right? Whether it's backwards or not. In our culture, when I heard of sulfur and hell, I hadn't have heard of Revelations. This is the point I'm making. It's in our culture that this is attached to it before you read the Bible. So whether it's backwards in the actual creation of it, it's not backwards in our experience of it.
No, that's true. It's not.
So when I say that sulfur and this and all is usually attached with hell, it is. It's because of this. But we don't figure this out first. We hear that other part first. So it's ingrained.
I totally agree with you.
It's ingrained in us, So you're thinking evil, you're thinking hell, you're thinking apocalypse, there's sulfur. You've seen an actual example of it in your real life.
It's I think that's one of the things Satan did to throw us off, is suggested ideas like hell smells like sulfur. That's friggin' silly. Anyway.
Well, I'm just making the reasoning that all your justification can be explained from stuff that you would have experienced in our culture. Exception of IO, and specifically that's your own personal testimony. But your natural instinct to jump on what you have jumped on is because that's all you know of. As you say,
No,
you're not
it didn't happen in that order at all. In fact, the movie happened. I thought those moons didn't exist. I went to nasa.gov to prove they don't exist. They do exist. While I was there, I looked into what NASA asserts the chemistry is. The chemistry is 90% yellow sulfur, 10% iron. It is. I didn't make that up.
I never doubted your order of what it's coming. I'm just saying.
Well, then I can't have done it in the order you just suggested because I didn't. And I can't have.
You know of sulfur.
I hadn't read the book of Revelation yet. I had not even opened up the book of Revelation.
I know. You'd known of sulfur.
At all.
You'd known of sulfur and hell. Or this happened.
Culturally, sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? So you look up something to go and find out, and it all just matches from your knowledge.
Try, without looking for stuff.
Saying that it matches first time. People.
It matters because what you just said suggested I was looking when I wasn't.
No.
I wasn't looking for something that matched.
No, I didn't say you were looking for something specific.
It sounded like it.
Right? You weren't going out looking for something specific. What you went out and looked. You're getting annoyed at what I'm trying to say.
Well, you're being unfair.
I'm not being unfair. You're taking it the wrong way.
You are.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying that you went looking for something, but saying that you found it on first time, right? If I went out and I'm looking and this thing amazing, and I went and I picked just the first answer.
I didn't enter into NASA big chunks of sulfur in this solar system. That's not what I did.
I never said you did.
Well, if I was looking for something that matched, like you just said, because culturally I was thinking sulfur, I'd be looking for something sulfur, which never happened. I never did look for something sulfur.
I never said you went looking. I just said that telling me that the very first answer you came across perfectly matched up is not a convincing point for me. That's the statement I'm making. When someone says to me, I went and did something and it worked just first time and just this, that, and the other.
That's not the same thing.
it doesn't convince me. Whether it's the same thing or not, this is my personal. This is me.
Biased.
I am not. I don't give a fuck. I'm telling you from my.
This just sounds like anti-religious bias. Is all it sounds like.
Because if you tell me anything happened on the first time, nothing to do with religion at all. If you went and tried something and it happened first time, I'm not going to.
That's not what happened. That's not the same thing. It's not a fair comparison.
The first thing you found, all matched up.
Yeah.
Right.
What was I looking for?
No, I didn't say that. You said that over and over and over again.
Well, I have to. It's
I am literally just making the statement, and I don't think if anyone else would disagree with me. If one thing happens, one data point is not data.
Coincidence. It could be coincidental.
All right, that's all I'm saying. Is one thing happening the first time does not give it more validity because it happened the first time perfectly, or because I found it all matching.
That's not what I was rebutting against.
That's what I'm stating. I never said you were going in looking for anything.
No, you literally did.
You went out looking.
When you went looking.
Yes, for information on what had happened.
After having said, our culture thinks sulfur and hell are connected. You said that too, right?
Yes, we have this subconsciously already in our mind.
So you were saying that in my back of my mind, in fact, I think you said in the back of your mind, because of our culture, you made a big point of it, I would be attaching sulfur and hell, so I would be looking for something sulfur. I didn't
say you were looking for something sulfur. I said that the information is already there.
No, you suggested it strongly. It's just not the case.
I don't suggest things. I am literal. I use my words. I'm very specific. I don't suggest or in between lines. I'm saying that the information that this was already there in your brain subconsciously. And the fact that you found something...
You're doing it again. You're doing it right now. I can't...
Are you going to deny to me? Are you going to deny to me that the information in your brain about sulfur being attached to hell, you only found out about after you read Revelation?
I didn't think we were talking about hell here. I wasn't investigating hell.
I never said you were, Richard. I'm asking you a direct question.
Why would I look for something attached to hell if I'm not looking for hell?
Oh my God. I never said you were looking for something. I'm saying to you that the information that sulfur is attached to hell was in your mind before you found out about this.
Sure, of course.
Right. I'm also saying...
Why does that matter?
I'm also saying that something happening once is not a data point. That's only one data point. And you will not convince me by saying that you found something or something happened on the first go. You are giving it more validity than it is because it happened first time. You found out.
I was told a thing. I went to prove it wrong. It was right. I didn't look to make it right.
Never said looked, Richard. I just said that the information that sulfur's attached to hell is already in your mind because of the culture we grew up in.
Okay, and why does that matter? I'll walk you through it, but yes.
Oh, I understand. Exactly I'm not fucking stupid, Richard. I understand where
I don't think you're stupid.
I understand where you're coming from. Okay? Regardless of the no, I am not religious. I'm picking on this because it's religion. I am picking on this because anything with one thing is not a data point. Anything that works out the very first time is not a data point. Anything that happens in the first go does not give it validity because it happened perfectly in the first go.
Because it could be a coincidence.
All right, that's all I'm saying. So don't say I'm religious and persecuting and this and I don't get it and you need to walk me through it.
No, I said it's anti-religious bias. That's what I said.
It's not anti-religious bias. It's not anti-religious bias. By saying one thing happens once and that gives it validity, I don't agree with that.
Is that what happened? Is that what I said? Is that what happened? No, it's not. Okay, what did happen was I was given a very specific idea. I went to disprove it, and it's true. It's plausible, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's not the same thing as arbitrarily trying things and getting a good.
And say that you did that.
That would be a coincidence. It wasn't a coincidence. It was guided. And then the plausibility exists. I'm not saying it's likely. I'm saying it's plausible.
Yeah, I know that. And you're attaching all of that because it matches up with your personal experience.
Yes.
Yes, and you're telling me that my order is wrong. Well, I'm telling you that it's not because you knew about sulfur and all of that before your dream.
right? I mean, I would, till 12 years old, I would have, or till 11 and a half, 12 years old, I would have considered myself a Catholic. I mean, I went to church a lot when I was a kid. So I heard all the, the hellfire and brimstone Catholic thing. I heard it sometime or another, I'm sure.
Yep. I understand.
And then culturally, even in the movie Shrek, you have dragon, hellfire, sulfur, of course. It's part of the story. But I wasn't looking for something that was hell-like.
I'm going to just repeat it again. I never said you were out looking specifically for something. I never said that. Stop saying that I did. I didn't imply it. You took it that way, and I've now clarified 3 times that I did not say that.
Well, okay, then tell me why it matters that in my culture, and yours, I think, the idea of hell has the idea of sulfur attached to it. Why? The
reason that it's relevant, Richard, is because you're applying sulfur to this, and you've got that from your personal testimony, from your movie in your mind, and I'm saying that you had all this information in your brain beforehand. And you're saying the only way it is aliens, the only way it could be Jesus, and I'm saying here is another way that it could be this information was already in your mind subconsciously. You're refusing to say that that is possible. And telling me that I am saying that you are specifically going and looking for something when I'm not.
No, that's not exactly right. It's not exactly what I'm saying. There is the assumption there that
I assume this is wrong, and I'm looking for a reason that's not.
Because I had the idea of sulfur in my head, right? And in the Waking movie, call it that, it included the moon Io, which at the time I did not know the chemistry of. Okay. In fact, I didn't know it existed.
We've already had that conversation, but yeah.
I know.
I get what you're saying, Richard. I get what you're saying. I understand that you're saying.
I don't understand why you think I'm
because you're flat out saying that you're saying that what I'm describing is impossible, but you describing Io crashing on the Earth is possible. But what I'm describing is not.
You said it was impossible. What did I assert this impossible? I don't know what that was.
There is a possibility that this information for what has happened, you have picked up culturally from before it happened. Subconsciously in your mind. This information is there.
Okay. I'm not denying that information would be there. I saw the movie Shrek before I was a religious guy. Okay. I know the reference.
Right.
Probably more than just the movie.
Okay, I'm going to repeat myself again now and see if it lands and you actually catch on this time. I am not saying anything specific about your story. I am telling you that, number one, the information could be in your mind subconsciously. You have agreed that you knew of it before that. And number two, the fact that it happened and you went first time doesn't give it a valid point. That's it. All right? That's my 2 statements. I've repeated them over and over again. That's it. Relevant to anything.
Okay.
Information can be in your mind that is possible out there. Religion is a very big thing. Subconsciously, you could have known of this. And one thing, and you make a statement, it happened first time, that doesn't matter to me. Doesn't give it validity.
I'm not scratching my eyeball. Because every time I scratched my eyeball and you said I was nervous, pissed, whatever, you were wrong. I was just scratching my eye. See, because what I really do is I tilt my head to the side.
When did I say anything about scratching your eye?
Last series or 2. Doesn't matter.
It is possible. Okay. Yes, it is.
Just walk me through something because I don't understand something. Culturally, sulfur and hell go together. Grant that. If sulfur and hell go together, somewhere in the back of a person's mind, and they were looking for justification of a thing, what's the process from there?
Don't put words in my mouth. All right? I'm just going to say this one more time to see if you use the word looking.
I don't know how you can avoid the word looking. You're objecting to the word looking, I know, but I don't know how you can avoid saying I was looking for something.
You weren't looking for justification. You were looking for justification of your answer. You weren't. I understand where you're coming from.
What do you mean by that? I was not. I've literally told you probably more than 5 times. I went to disprove it. Why you think I'm a liar, I have no idea.
Yes, you went looking
But
for
I'm
evidence.
not lying. I went to disprove it.
Yes. Yes, I understand that you went to disprove
so that's
it.
not going to confirm it.
No, I didn't say confirm. I did not use the word confirm either.
I don't know what word you want me to use.
The words that come out of my mouth with a statement that they have said now twice. More than twice.
It was in the back of your mind, and there it was. That's confirmation or searching or looking. It's something.
You went to disprove it.
I didn't accidentally go to NASA, and you don't think I did.
Oh, you went to disprove it, and you came across something that aligned with what you seen.
Right. I just didn't know that would be there.
Yes. You didn't consciously know that would be there.
I didn't know it was sulfur. I didn't know that there would be a moon. I didn't know that it would be that color.
I understand that, Richard.
Be in that location.
I understand
I didn't know any of that.
And if you had already in your mind this subconscious knowledge that hell goes together with something, and then you found out... I wasn't
reading about hell.
Okay, all right.
I wasn't reading about hell.
I know you aren't reading about hell, Richard.
It was David and Goliath.
I know the story. I know all of that.
What's that got to do with hell?
The destruction of the world and the end of the world is apocalyptic. It's Revelations. Revelations is your entire thing. You have it on your hand. It's important to you.
It is important. Hadn't read it yet.
Yeah, I know that.
Okay. So how do I associate David and Goliath with sulfur? And it makes sense.
Right. You seen Io crash onto the earth?
Chunk of it.
Yeah. And it destroyed the earth. In your David and Goliath story. Whatever happened, it landed on the fucking earth. In your story.
Some limited body of water.
Would you have known of the end of the world as a Catholic, an apocalypse, and what has a rough idea of what happens in Revelations from growing up in the culture?
Sure, but that's too general. This is very specific.
Yes, your version is very specific. You made it very specific because you experienced something.
I don't think pedophile.
Right, where the fuck?
Priest.
Don't even be using that word on this channel.
Don't
even use that word.
He's a pedophile. I'm sorry. I was attacked by an adult man as a child. I
understand that story, Richard. I have no idea.
Use the word.
I don't understand why that has any relevance here.
Anyway, I don't think I ever heard of preaching on the Book of Revelation in a Catholic church. And if I did, I can't remember it. And I was a kid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Subconscious.
Well, fine. This is not what the Catholic Church proposes as the explanation of wormwood. This just isn't it. So they wouldn't have planted this in my subconscious. They couldn't have. They don't think I'm right. They don't preach this.
Just won't admit that there's a possibility that you could be wrong. That's where we're getting to. Thank you for...
I won't admit.
Richard, if you admit there's a possibility you're mistaken, no ifs or buts or previews, and the conversation can move forward.
Mistaken about what? Let's be specific.
That you could have made this dream up in your mind from the subconscious knowledge that you've experienced in your past.
I will not admit that. That is a lie.
It's a possibility.
It's a word of Satan. It's not true.
A possibility that you could have not made it up, but have experienced something that is not God and maybe anything. It could, it doesn't necessarily have to be this way and only a message from God. There is a possibility that only you experienced this and it happened in your mind because of the subconscious knowledge that you already had before.
No, that's not possible. It's literally not possible. Didn't we just like half an hour ago have the conversation? Richard, you're the one saying this. Now, who suggested this to me on this earth if I'm the only one saying it? Those are all your words.
Yes.
Everything I just said were your words.
Yes, you are the only person that has experienced this.
Then who told it to me?
There's no possibility that your mind just made it up. There's no medical conditions out there that's possible where people have experienced the same thing as you.
Oh my gosh, come on.
Richard, it's a possibility. I'm not saying
I don't have any medical problems.
I never said you did. I'm saying...
No, you suggested that it's an explanation for what I experienced.
I'm saying that these are
possible. The same thing as saying you may have this problem.
No, Richard, it's not.
Oh, it definitely is.
No, I'm not saying you're mental. I'm saying there's a possibility and other people have experienced... And you're literally...
Sure, but why does it matter if it's not the problem?
If you have experienced it from a moment of what happened to you, then that's just, it's all you. I'm here to, I don't believe that this happened. I'm looking for other possibilities. And last week when I brought up a possibility of the reading of it was from the history and that there's a possibility of it just being goat herders writing a book, you lost the rag and you wouldn't admit the possibility of it. And now I'm saying
what do you mean I won't admit of course it's a possibility.
And you experiencing this from subconsciously making things up inside your own mind. Not crazy, don't have a mental snap or a mental crazy problem, just this one incident. You won't admit the possibility of that. The only possible information, only possible way...
There's the problem right there. You're saying possible when you mean likely.
No, I'm saying possible, Richard. I'm saying possible. Okay, I don't mean likely. Don't put words in my mouth. This is why I'm getting annoyed. I'm literally telling you the words that's coming out of my mouth. You're hearing them and you're changing them.
You're suggesting stuff.
I'm not suggesting anything.
If that's not an explanation, why suggest it's a possible explanation?
Why is something that happens to other people a possible explanation for something that's happened to you?
Because I'm a human.
There you go. You just answered your own question.
No, that's not an answer to the question. It's likely and possible, not the same thing.
Never said likely. You did.
I know. But you're acting as if that's a possible explanation.
And it is.
And it's a likely explanation. It's possible the moon's made of cheese. Is it likely? Well, no.
Right. And is it possible that you had an experience that's only relative to you, or is it definitely going to be a crazy alien? That's like, you're the one that you're putting forward. The idea that you're putting forward. No, hold on. Let me finish. If you're going to use the moon being made of cheese or the moon being what it's made of as a comparison, then you're the one that's saying the moon's made of cheese, because what I'm saying is more probable, not likely.
What's more probable?
That this experience that you had is personal to you and that there is no alien telepathically communicating with you.
Okay. Is that possible?
It's
okay. It's giving me a lot of credit, though. It's making me perhaps the most inventive person who ever read David and Goliath.
Pardon?
It's making me like the most artistically and intuitively and really, really different person who ever read the story of David and Goliath.
No, this is making you a person who put their own touch on scripture.
How many personal touches on scripture would result in the plausible chemistry?
30,000. That's how many. 30,000 religions. It is possible for 30,000 different views in the Bible. Your particular one includes the chemistry.
No, but I didn't know the chemistry.
No, you learned it as you went along.
I learned it as I tried to prove it wrong. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
it can only have been a telepathic God that gave you this information. There is no possibility.
First of all, I don't think it's God. I don't think God has a mind.
Adam, person, whatever you want to call it, you know exactly what I'm trying to be. Let's not be semantic about it, all right? You know exactly what I'm trying to say. You're telling me that the only possible way that you got this information is from an alien that communicated it to you. There is no possible way that you, from the subconscious knowledge in this culture that we have had, that you started with that story. You didn't have David and Goliath and go forward and go, I am definitely true because I have David and Goliath. You spent an awful lot of time building your religion with stuff that confirmed your religion. But your basis is you and nothing else. And it's possible that you could have experienced this in your mind with you, nobody else. You're saying it can only be an alien that telepathically communicated it to you.
Yes, because of information theory.
It doesn't matter whether yes or no.
Actually works.
It doesn't. Now you're just justifying your answer. You're telling me that it is not possible for a person to experience something relative.
You asked me.
You
asked me why I think what I think. I answered it. Now, if you want to ask me something besides that, I'll try to answer that.
Not asking you anything, Richard. I'm making a statement over and over and over again, and you're refusing to acknowledge the possibility.
I mean, I appreciate the compliment. It's not that I don't, okay? But if you're right that this is just something that happened within and only in my head, okay? And everything that I'm espousing is just something that I, parts and pieces that I collected along the way. And I put them together in a really interesting way. And for me, that's justification of a plausible explanation of what these ancient religions are talking about. You're going to have a hard time convincing me that's what happened. Here's why.
I'm trying to convince you.
You're going to have a hard time getting me to agree that that's anything other than just possible.
That's all
I'm not going to be able to agree.
That's it. No. Stop. That's all I want you to do is agree that it's possible.
Okay, now I'm confused.
That's it.
When did I not agree that's possible?
By all the people in the chat who have said that, and even fucking the super chat that Sammy sent. It's obvious
they're just saying whatever the hell you say. They're not having thoughts or something.
Sammy doesn't think about this and hasn't had a conversation with you about this. Sammy and
I have had fights about this, and we've gotten along about this, and we've had long talks about this.
Yes. So Sammy's not just thinking.
He's just repeating what you said.
Sammy actually took what I and said it better. He can
even Beck will say Richard constantly says that this is his understanding and could be wrong. Ask Mac if I say that. I've been saying it for years. I don't even know why you're asking me that. It's no wonder that I'm at least slightly confused about your intent when you know I think that.
I know that you're 100%.
If you don't know I think that, I don't know why. You don't know that I know. Yeah. It's a possibility. It's just some, I don't know, freak of nature in my brain or something.
Richard, I just wanted you to say it was possible.
Oh my God, I've been saying it since 2012.
In this conversation we're having, when you put words in my mouth and say I'm looking for something.
This conversation. That's the difference.
Okay, right. So the audience isn't thinking for themselves. And when I'm trying to get you to say one thing in the conversation to make a point relative to the conversation, and you get annoyed and then put words in my mouth.
I've always said that was possible, but it's not a decent explanation of anything. Right. It's extremely unlikely.
Now you're agreeing to the word possible and using the word possible over and again because you've got to the point. But previously you were saying that I was putting it across as that it's likely. I never said the word likely. I always said possible. You have just confirmed.
Why say something almost impossible? Why say it? Are you saying that you were suggesting things as a possible explanation that are extremely unlikely and you think that's a good suggestion?
Watch it back, Richard. Flat out denied.
I don't think I need to watch it back. I mean, I will.
I'm saying it's possible, not likely, because I know
Everyone always said it was possible, including me.
Difference between you using the word over and over again and saying likely and looking when I didn't. This is where... No. Let me finish, please. Don't interrupt me. This is where this has got heated because you were replacing the words and saying these things. You were flat out denying it.
That's what you meant them.
I meant them the way I said them, not the words you attached to them.
Why say it?
Why say that there's a possibility of it? Because we're trying to find out reasons where this could come from. Cool job.
I don't think that is. I don't think that's true.
Wormwood, fourth angel, verse 12. Would you like to read it, Richard?
Yeah, I'd be honored. And the fourth angel sounded, and the third part of the sun was smitten. This is the smiting of the thirds. And the third part of the moon.
If I can just ask, what does it mean by sun was smitten? Because smitten to me is like a backhand, like a
yeah. No, you got the right word.
Yeah. So we're now backhanding and shouting at the sun. So
right, insulting it, offending it, if you will.
Yeah, that's
something like that.
Yeah. It's a personification. It's something you would do to a person, not to a thing.
Right. That is correct. And the third part of the moon was smitten, and the third part of the stars was smitten. So as the third part of them was darkened, and the day shone not for a third part of it, and the night likewise. So this is like everything that has to do with our sensing of light is changed.
Yeah, I'm basically getting it's darkening, and the fact that it's a third again is continuing on with this idea of a big chunk of something. So emphasizing most of the, well, not most of the world, but emphasizing a big chunk of shit is.
I wish it meant like mental darkness, but I think it means literal physical darkness,
yeah.
Like a lack of light. And I think that this is only describing what we would naturally see if we were in a binary solar system. If we had, and binary solar systems all over the universe see things like this all the time. Where if the other sun was on the opposite side of the sun from you, right, and you could only see one at that time, right, then you wouldn't have, you would have 180 degrees of light on the surface of your planet, right?
Yeah, it's
or half lit.
Yes.
Okay. So if you're on the dark side, then you would see stars just like we do right now, right? But if a binary solar system, if you were living in a binary solar system and you were in between the two stars,
I could see the two stars being here and you there, right, then there would just be a slice that would be the dark.
Right. Precisely. That's exactly it.
I can understand that. Two light sources, you're going to end up with a shadow smaller than half the Earth.
Yeah, if you can imagine the geometry of the Earth at a 66-degree angle to two light sources, compared to just having had only one light source in memory of the people living there, then it would be this. Third part of the sun was smitten, and a third part of the moon, or the shadow of the moon, and the third, or the light of the moon, would be different. And third of the stars.
Have you looked into, now I know that we have done the whole universe sandbox thing, where, you say Jupiter happens, and we've disagreed over the mass and all that crack, right? We'll take that.
We didn't disagree over the mass. That's not true.
I've said that Jupiter doesn't have enough mass to turn into a sun.
No, everyone brought up mass except for me. I never talked about the mass, but I don't give a crap. It has nothing to do with the story or the physics.
Right. Okay. I'm saying that it doesn't relative to this conversation. Okay, I'm saying that we've had this conversation about the mass, and there is physical evidence that people will bring up and say Jupiter can't become a sun because it doesn't have enough mass.
81 times, or
I think it was 88 we got on Universe Sandbox, wasn't it? Something like that. Whatever it was, right? We'll just take into consideration that Jupiter is now a sun. Right? We've went past whatever happened. Jupiter is now a sun. Have you looked into, number one, the orbits of how that would happen? Or does this, what's going, like 7 years, it's going to settle itself into an orbit? Have you looked?
If you can understand the question.
If Jupiter became a sun, we would agree that relative to, regardless of how it became a sun, it would have a greater mass. And that
I don't know why you would say that.
Because of a way that suns work.
Suns change mass on their own.
No, a sun has a massive mass, hence its gravity, which pulls everything in, and then it has the explosive power which wants to rip it apart. That's how a sun works.
Yeah.
So for
Well,
Jupiter to continue, no, please let me finish. For Jupiter, regardless of how it got to be a sun, for it to continue to be a sun and give out light, it has to use fuel, which is the hydrogen, but that is only brought together by gravity and the mass. So regardless of how Jupiter became a sun, if it's now a sun, it has to have greater mass for a sun to work. Go on ahead.
don't agree.
That's how suns work.
No, that's how suns normally occur.
No. That's how they're created. Is gravity pulls them together and all the rest of it. But when a sun is created, if you just popped one into existence and expected it to run for 1 billion years, the same sort of sun that we have out there right now, and you just went boop, there's a sun, and expected it to run, its actual process of creating sunlight is hydrogen gets crushed down in the center, and then it explodes, and it takes like what, 4,000 years or 10,000 years to get from the center to the outside, but gravity and mass pulls it together, fuses these atoms together, and then they explode. That's how we get atoms, oxygen, and all that stuff. They're all created in the center of a sun.
Mm-hmm.
That's how a sun works.
Uh-huh. I don't know anything about the story that says Jupiter would be a small star for any extended period of time at all. I've always thought that the story would be describing what I've been using the term short term.
Well, that's why I asked at the very start about the 7 years. I'm asking, does it have to continue? Will it be going for 7 years? Is it a short version?
Oh.
You didn't answer, so then I moved on.
Well, I didn't understand the question. So that's why I didn't answer.
Mm-hmm.
And then you were also talking about orbital changes.
I tried to get two questions out and you interrupted me, and then I went down a route of trying to answer your interruption.
Okay, well, I didn't understand the first question.
Right.
And then the second one.
I've now got new information. I've got new information now. So, Jupiter is to survive as a sun for how long?
Small amount of time, less than 7 years.
Less than 7 years.
7 years or less than 7 years.
Well, are we going through this bad period
less
for 7
than a decade?
Are we going through this bad period for 7 years?
Yeah, the whole book of Revelation is supposed to be played out in 7 years. Yeah.
7 years. Right.
Yeah.
Something that could be looked into is how much hydrogen is in Jupiter and would it physically run? Or would that be, if it came back with bad evidence, we're just going to take
I could just Google, or someone in the chat could just Google that.
Regardless of what the answer is, I'm saying if we looked it up and the answer said that there's only enough hydrogen in it to run for 6 months,
then it would run for 6 months.
And you would go with that definitively. You would say, that's
sure.
grand. 6 months is grand. You would agree with that.
Yeah, well, whatever mass it has of hydrogen right now is what it has. And I don't know, maybe it would burn for 1 month and then pop. Maybe it would go nova. I don't know.
But according to science, it says it can't turn into a sun, but you'll say that the aliens help it out. Yes?
What part of science said it can't turn into a sun?
The fact that it doesn't have enough mass.
Okay. So it doesn't have enough mass to be a natural sun.
For Jupiter, ma'am, like, if Jupiter could have naturally became a sun, it would have.
It would have. Yeah, that's right.
For it to become a sun. Go ahead.
It doesn't have enough mass. Some 81 times too little mass. Yeah. That's why it's not a sun right now.
And for it to become a sun, it would need a helping hand from the aliens.
Well, they start the series, so yeah.
Right. So, we're agreeing that it's possible, and more than likely going by science, probable, if Jupiter was to become a sun, it would need an external push, an external help.
Sure, that's what I think the story of David and Goliath describes, is that external push.
But there isn't enough mass in the things that you've described.
Right, never mentioned mass. Don't really appreciate hearing it again.
No, but you're asking me about what the science... You literally said, what is the science that says Jupiter can't become a natural sun? That is the answer.
That's not true. That's not the only answer. It is an answer.
Already
The
granted.
reason they call it a failed sun is because all the chemistry is there. It's just not big enough.
I've granted that it became a sun. The question that I was trying to, and we've went off on a tangent. If the point I'm making is, if it is only 6 months worth of hydrogen in it, you will accept that because that's the
Sure.
hydrogen.
Sure.
Because that's what science says.
Yeah.
Most
I mean,
of
the
sci-
story only needs it to burn for.
if I can, before my thought loses again and we get tangent, right? You'll accept that, okay? That science says there's only 6 months worth of hydrogen in it, so even if it did become a sun, it would run for 6 months.
Yeah, okay.
Science also says that it won't become a sun without this hat.
That's not true. Again, that's not true. Science does not say that.
You show me a scientific paper that shows that Jupiter will eventually become.
No, there is no such scientific paper to the best of my knowledge.
I'm saying that that's the opposite of that. That it won't naturally become a sun without an external push.
There's more than one way to start fusion.
I'm not talking about starting, right?
We're talking about the beginning of the sun. We're talking about
already
starting fusion.
no, Richard. I've already granted that it's became a sun. Okay.
Okay.
The point I'm trying to make, and you're disagreeing with it again, which is why I'm asking for the citation, is from what I understand about physics and what is relative to Jupiter, it will not become a sun without an external.
And one of those external helps would be an increase of mass by 81 times or 13 times at 100,000 miles per hour simultaneous impacts. And those are the current estimates of what it would take in mass or mass and impact to ignite Jupiter. However, that's not all ways that hydrogen could start fusing.
You just give me the answer to the question that I didn't get to.
Okay.
Trying to make the point of you will accept that there's 6 months hydrogen in the sun because science says that, and then you wouldn't because of the need for it to become a sun, which you've just given me another reason for, which is possible, which I've never thought of, and I will have to go and look into. Speed of the impact. That's the point I was trying to get to, but you didn't let me finish the question. But thank you for answering.
Well, you know, we've made hydrogen bombs. None of them were near the mass of a sun. None of them. But all of them fused hydrogen and destroyed
But they
a lot of
didn't.
stuff.
They didn't make the statement that a hydrogen bomb is a sun.
No, a hydrogen bomb is a sun. It's just automatically in nova because there's not enough mass.
You're just making a comparison now. It does the same thing.
No, that's what it is.
It does the same thing.
Yeah, it's exactly the same thing.
Yeah, but it doesn't make it a sun.
It's just so tiny. Yes, it is a sun. It's just a very, very short-term sun that starts out almost immediately in the nova stage because it's so tiny.
I will agree with your comparison. It's a colloquial term. I'll agree with that.
Okay.
All right.
So there's pressure.
You already give me the answer to the question I was looking for, and you're justifying something
Okay.
there's no need for. That's why I said you've already answered the question.
Oh, okay.
Something that I can look into, all right, because energy is mass and all of that. And I know it's not a normal thing for scientists, so it's not going to be mainstream for them to experience. Think about the idea of Jupiter becoming a paper I will have to look into, or a possibility I will have to look into. Okay?
I don't think it's something that science proposes as possible, or at least not likely.
But then that means you did the math.
What's that?
That means then that you did the math. If you didn't look up a paper, then you did the math on it.
What math?
Well, you said that we mentioned mass, and mass being energy, if it hit Jupiter at a certain speed, then that's where the extra energy and mass would come from.
Right, that's not my estimate. That's a scientific paper.
That's what I'm asking. It's something that I would have to look into. A possibility of using energy through a velocity,
right,
to convert the mass of it
And I think it was 13 masses instead of 81 and I think it was either 100,000 miles per hour simultaneous impacts or 200,000. I can't remember.
Well,
It's been a
there
couple
is,
years
like,
since I looked at it.
don't get me wrong, man. I think I've looked at them trying to create, they have a little ball of mass and they hit it with atoms at super
Yeah.
high velocity to create fusion.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, I understand that. So this is why I'm saying to you, that's something that I know scientifically can be possible. So I will look into it. That's the point of where I was trying to get to.
I'm
Asking the
ecstatic this
question.
happened because this is what I've been trying to say for, I don't know, about 3 years.
Well, it's not something that I've looked into.
Well, this is the only thing I've been trying to describe is not a mass increase, but pressure increase due to the atmospheres pretty much simultaneously exploding. It's a pressure thing.
Right. Now,
It's an impact thing.
right. You see, compacting a planet is different than hitting things with a certain velocity and creating something that way. They're different. Like, I could throw the moon at Jupiter. I could throw half of Jupiter at Jupiter, right? And that's me throwing. I could throw two of them at it, and it would crush. Where if we imploded the planet, that would have
It's
to
more
be
efficient.
It's more efficient, but it's completely different.
Well, the reason I say more efficient is because there's nowhere for the energy to go since all energy is being created pretty much simultaneously, and some amount of energy is lost outward, right? But I don't know. I've said it like try to imagine a water balloon in space and hand or firecrackers taped all over it simultaneously.
I'm thinking Stargate in my fucking head, man, because they've literally done this in Stargate. An evil race, right, put up a force field that started out small, and the people set off nuclear bombs trying to stop them, and they used that energy to create a force field all around the planet, and they imploded it till it exploded so they could create a black hole to power a giant gate that they could put ships through. Because the normal one, as you know, is only person size.
Kind of small.
So a super gate needs an ultimate power source. So that's exactly what they do. They crush a planet to the point of it happening. So I'm in my mind, it's uniform. That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing this episode of SG1, a uniform force field crushing the planet everywhere the same. On that size of a scale, it's different than an atom. That little speck of mass that they have is a tiny little bit of mass, because as we know, it's more energy than mass, right? So that little bit of mass that they have, so if they shoot a shitload of protons at it, scale wise it's still difficult, but it's more possible to cover that entire area at the same time as it would be for a planet with the things big enough that you would need to crush it. It's a scaling thing.
Yeah.
So I would think of a planet being converted like this, it would have to be uniform. So to me, hitting it with a load of meteorites, there always is going to be a gap because it's not at that atomic scale. So hitting it with meteorites through velocity and creating a star is different than compacting it to create a star.
Sure.
So that's where we've had the issue and why I'm only connecting now. You said about velocity. Velocity is a thing, but we may have just discussed why it won't work, but it's something I look into.
Okay. And this is related, but not directly on that topic. When I was dealing with special forces guys, I was never special forces. One of the things that they used as an anti-vehicle ordinance was a singular blasting cap. Just one blasting cap that would normally set off some kind of explosive. It's essentially the same thing that's in a singular hand grenade that sets off the grenade, okay? Or sets off a block of C4 or something like that, okay? But this one, they put down into a recessed area in a plastic jug. And the plastic jug is filled with water. And the recessed area is, and the plastic jug is a weird cone shape.
Huh?
Flat on the bottom and a lid on the top, screw-on lid on the top. But it's like conical shape. And then the blasting cap goes near the back center of the cone shape part. Right. And you set off that blasting cap, and that water will tear the side off of a semi-truck.
Okay, maybe it's because I grew up in Northern Ireland, right?
But you already knew that.
No, what we used to do is there's a quarry up behind the school. Well, it's not there anymore because the government actually bought it and gave it to the primary school, and they've now a bigger primary school. You know, it was only 70 pupils when we went there. I think they've got some land, right? But it was just an old quarry. I don't know what it was dug in it. We just called it the quarry. It was out of bounds behind the school. It was out of bounds behind the local estate. And it was half filled with water, as you know, like a quarry. And we used to take glass bottles and put a banger in the lid, fill it with water, put a banger. It's like a mini firework. It's about this size. It'll have a fuse on it, or you can get the waterproof strike ones. And we call them black cats. Look up black cats online, right?
I know what a black cat brand is. Yeah.
There you go. Just a wee firework. We call them bangers, right? And we would put that in the lid with stones and some water, and we'd fuck it into the quarry. And when that thing exploded, the water went. There's a lot of power because you're compacting it, and then giving it a force.
And not only are you trapping it, so it reaches a bursting point, right? But in the case of what you guys were, you're adding projectiles to it.
Well, no, the stones were to weigh the fucker down under the water.
It's still adding projectiles
under the water. We wanted it to get down.
Wanted them to be or not. Well, those are projectiles. I'm glad you never set one off over top of someone's head. That's good to know. Because I don't know what would have happened. Maybe death.
There was some bad bastards in our place.
And then because the way hydraulics work, it's the liquids can't compress, so they have to go somewhere. Yeah. So, and that's what I'm talking about is hydraulics.
We just thought it looked cool.
Oh yeah, it's impressive what a little firework will do in a situation like that. Oh, when I was talking about the water and the blast, that's literally 1 gallon of water in a literal plastic jug. It's insane.
You were using a liter bottle, liter glass.
Oh, glass. That's even better. Yeah.
We found the plastic didn't make it because it felt like the plastic was absorbing the explosion.
Oh, I'm sure it was absorbing some of it because it's still stretch. Yeah.
Plus, usually when you buy a plastic bottle, the lid, like a screw top lid, they're too big. The old-fashioned glass bottles, they were tighter. You could get a firecracker in there with less effort.
Oh, sure.
Right, we've been going for an hour and a half.
Oh, okay.
We'll finish the chapter. Right, so we're up to what, the fourth? We've only got 2 more chapters, isn't it? The fourth angel sounded, smitten. Part of the moon was smitten. Stars were smitten. Everything darkened. And I heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud, what?
I'm reading the side chat, and I just can't believe what Sammy just wrote most recently. I just can't believe it. This is not the Richard Picks on Sammy show. Never mind.
Oh, I hit the wrong button. And I behold an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth, by reason of the other voices of the trumpet of the 3 angels which are yet to sound. So that's
right on, the 3 woes. No horses in the area, by the way.
Oh, the horsemen are all done.
Yeah.
I think he's reacting because whenever you said that the audience was just repeating me and not thinking for themselves, I don't think you meant that, and I don't think he.
No, this proves my point. He's proving my point. It's fine.
Right. Richard, I checked last night. There was no stream last night.
No, Mac chose to move it to Wednesday as better for his schedule this week.
Oh, so tomorrow you have a stream then?
Maybe, as far as I know, yeah.
What time's that? 2 a.m. my time?
I'm not good at the conversion, you know that.
No.
6:30 my time. Yeah, you really know I'm not good at the conversion. 6:30 my time, Mountain.
Right, so that's
US.
7 for the UK, so that would be 1:30 then.
Right. Okay.
I wasn't far off. Richard, anything else? No? I've got you coming next week. Oh, I might be hosting. Well, no, not hosting. I might be moderating a debate on Cider and Porch channel with the whole Roe v. Wade thing One thing I did make.
Oh man.
I did make sure, to be in his channel. I did say to him that it has to be a mixed team. All right, I will not debate two guys over. That's not happening. So, as far as I know, it's K Fellows and Cider and Port, and then his housemates on his team, who's also a female, getting that UK guy on the other side. So it'll be man and woman teams on both sides.
More balanced.
More balanced and give a proper representation. And even that, fuck off people in your whinging. I tried. Look, this is me actually trying, so fucking don't call me out on it. So that'll be over.
Let me be a self-professed Christian saying that Christians are wrong about fighting Roe versus Wade and fighting abortion rights. They're just wrong. And even though the Bible uses things like that as examples from real life, it doesn't mean it's the lesson.
The Christian idea, like, what is it? Is it Genesis 2:7? I think it's Genesis 2:7. Life begins at the first breath. So, like, life doesn't begin at conception. And then they'll quote something, and we'll quote something, and we'll be back and forth. The Bible's not justification for it. It should be the way it is because it's a medical right.
The word inspire means to literally breathe something in, right? And that's why we call it inspiration, right? And that's why we call it respiration, because it's a repeating thing. And to the word spirit in the Bible means breath, which is why it's compared later to the wind.
No book could justify it to me unless it was a scientific or well, that's not true. It could be an emotional book, but I'm still what I am. I'm because I'm Popeye. So,
right.
Richard, thank you very much as always for coming. We will be back next week, and hopefully we'll get the timing right. I've just been really tired lately, and it's just
I'm exhausted too. It's okay.
The work's taking a fucklock out of me as well. And so, we're getting a new drill.
When?
Within the next couple of months. Like, soon.
Not a couple of months?
No. This is a good... Yeah, no, this is good. I was talking to the boss. Like, I think they've spent like 70 grand on one. Oh. Yeah. So, and they've decided to keep the old one. I don't know if we're going to have two drills now. I might have a modern one to play with and then an old one to play with.
They're going to refurbish the old one?
I haven't a fucking clue. It'll do basic stuff. I think I broke the guillotine the day. I went up with a big piece of steel and put it in because I was trying to do shit fast. And the fucking first piece that went down, the blade went down, didn't come back up again. I was like, right, going back to the iron worker. Fucked off. The fucking boss told me it'll cut up to fucking 12 mil of steel. So I put an 8 mil piece in, it went down, it made a loud snapping noise, cut the piece of steel, and fucked off. Right. Sam, no shit, someone at work's fucking, don't say nothing, Sammy. Right. Richard, as always, I love you. You're an annoying cunt.
Love you too.
But I love you. Everybody that comes
and
everybody that puts in and helps out with the channel, really do appreciate it. Thanks for coming and watching. It makes, not that it makes it worthwhile, I'd argue with this cunt for the fucking... Sammy says, please remind Richard, I love him.
I love Sammy too. But it's logically fallacious that because MathPig, you said...
Hey, we're not circular. We've done it.
Because I said because I didn't say you were absolutely wrong. I said I agreed with something. That's just not right. Like I have not changed my story at any point. People's understanding of it has changed.
We're going to get more wound up again when it's got to the point where
I got this stuff written down in like notes and drawings. I've never changed my story. And me agreeing or me not arguing with someone is not the same as me saying that was a fact. Not the same thing.
Conversation you two will have to have. Me and you will have ours. You two can have yours. Everybody, as I said, thank you all for coming.
I hope so.
And yeah, I hope just did everyone like that. Everybody missed the new intro because you were all fucking late.
Play it again.
So yeah, I'll play the new intro as we're leaving, so you can all have a look at it. And yeah, seriously, thanks everybody for coming. It really does. It makes it fun. This is good fun. See you next week. How it's supposed to